Hey Quentin, this is Glenn. I just wanted to make this little video to say congratulations buying the Tiger, but I also wanted to tell you a few things that the owner's manual does not tell you. Again, this is probably the best source of information you'll get for the bike. I'd read it through, but again, there's certain things on this bike that probably just need a little bit more explanation than what's in here. I also have the warranty and service records here. There's some information about spark plugs that I've used, some of the air filters, some of the maintenance, things that I've just logged throughout the course of time. So these will be for your reference as well. What I want to talk about first was the keys. There's two sets of keys. One is, I believe, an aftermarket set, and one set is from Triumph. The easiest way to distinguish them is the Triumph key with the orange lettering is for the tail bags, and the Triumph key with just the blacked out lettering is for the ignition, the gas tank, and the seat. So let me go through the seat real quick for you first. So again, the first key, the blacked out Triumph, to release the seat, put it in the keyway here, turn, lift up the back, slides right off. The toolkit, the Triumph toolkit, is on the bottom of the seat, strapped in. There's just some basic stuff in there, just in case of real emergency. Inside here, there's a little area you can put either your own set of tools, or I usually keep the manuals, or just some paraphernalia back there. Battery right here. Now I also have a tender plug hooked up to the battery. I would suggest, if you're not going to be riding or starting it up for some time, always keep the battery tender charged. Again, this is just a standard socket that's hooked up, but again, this is a brand new battery. You shouldn't have any issues with starting power, and it should last a good long time for you. To put the seat back on, again, one other thing, all your fuses, your relays are all basically in this area. So if you ever need a fuse check, or you need to replace one, it's in this area, it's in this box right here. Putting the seat back on, pretty simple. There's a little cup there. I would put it in first on this lip on the tank so it fits in like that, snug. Then just give the seat a bounce, make sure it's good and tight, you're done. Let's talk about the bags. This is something that they don't go over in the manual, because these are optional bags. They're nice bags, they're Triumph, but there's just a couple little things you got to know about them. Again, using the orange key, it's a two-step process. To release the lever, you want to turn the key counterclockwise, which will flip the lever up. Okay, that will also allow the bag to come off like that. As you can see, this lever controls these two little clamps, which basically lock into the bars here. To put this back on, you got to make sure that this nub, it's a rubberized piece on the bar itself, goes into this hole here. It's the same on both sides. So the best way to do it is make sure your levers are completely in. Sort of line everything up with the tops there. You can see the tops are resting on there, and this is engaged inside that little hole. That's how you take the bag off. Again, it's got a little bit of give. I mean, it's not on there real tight, but there's no way that it's going to come off once those bottom latches are locked in. To open up the bag, basically do the same thing. Counterclockwise first, lever flips up, then go clockwise. And what will happen is this latch underneath here, you can push down and it'll open the side. Very simple procedure, but again, it's sort of a two-part system. Close it, push your hand again on top here, close it, make sure it's latched. Counterclockwise, push down, everything's fine. So this is the tail bag, which I have just sort of adapted to put on right on the back part of the seat. There's two straps that are mounted to the side here. One set goes in here, one set goes in here. And then on the back, again, I've got just two straps going in the back here. And this is all your personal preference. It does not have to be this way. If you have a better recognition or a better way of doing it, that's fine. Then all we really have to do is just tighten down these straps here. Just give them a tug, as tight as you want. And that bag's on there very secure. Inside the bag is the rain fly, in case you ever do get into some wet weather. There it is. Basically just covers the whole bag if it's raining. It's really a nice bag. And it has the locking zippers on the side here, just in case you need to secure anything up. The other bag is just the regular magnetic tank bag. You can secure it a number of different ways, but as magnetic, it won't go anywhere. It's on there right now. I also have some extra parts, some of the original factory parts that came with the bike. You got your manuals, you got your extra set of keys, and I've marked on them what they are: ignition and the back, or the bag, excuse me, the tail bags. But these are the actual standard sets of keys here. Manual. I'm giving you an extra air filter or oil filter, excuse me. It's a K&N 204. This is the baffle for the slip-on, which I'll show you the difference once we get it running, and you can decide how you want to, if you want to keep that in or out. The original horn, there's a optional horn. It's a little bit louder, has a few more decibels, but this was the original horn. The original shifter, the original pegs that came with it. Also have the original fender, which was orange. Since then we put a black one on there. I think it looks a little bit nicer, but again, it's perfect shape. These are some of the original Motec back plate accessories, the brackets. Also have a K&N air filter, which was in the bike. I've replaced it with just a standard filter, but the K&N is still pretty good. It's pretty clean. It probably just needs to be recharged. So that'll all be there with you. What I will do is put all these parts in the tail bag, so they'll all be together. Let's go over some of the ignition and look at some of the gauges here. Again, with the regular key, it's basically, and what I want you to do is listen to when the injectors kick in. You'll hear the fuel pump and the injectors kick in. You turn the ignition on. That's basically what you're going to see. Your fuel tank goes by the bars. This is the temperature gauge. Usually there is no bar. I just had it running for a minute. Neutral, high beams. This is your shifter indicator. It's in obviously neutral now, so it indicates 0, oil, and your check engine light. Essentially what I do is, if it's starting cold, depress the clutch, just give it a quick start, a quick turnover, just to get the oil about a minute or so, you'll see the next bar go up. I usually let it run to at least 1 or 2 bars before taking it out. I'm going to shut it off again. One thing I did want to mention, and you can see it better a little bit darker. Again, here's your bars for your gas. When you get down to about 2 bars, the warning light will come on saying you have about a gallon of gas left, maybe a little less, probably about 40-45 mile range. When you go to fill up, and the gas bars are maybe down to 1 or 2, when you fill up, those bars don't immediately go back up here. They don't register as it's full. It takes a couple of minutes or a couple of miles before you'll see the gas gauge or the gas bars go back up to a full extent. So don't panic because you fill the tank up and you only still see 2 or 3 bars. Let's go over just a couple of these things, these other items here. You have a power outlet here for your cigarette lighter, for if you got any other accessories that you want to power. Heated hand grips, 2-position rocker. In the middle position is off. Bottom is high, top is low. You also have a switch over here for your fog lamps. This is not hooked up to the ignition, so these are just on. If you look up front, these go on and off without the bike being on or running. So just be careful again too that you don't leave them on. It'll drain the battery. You'll hear some noises. I don't know if you heard any noises when it was shutting down. It sounds a little odd. Triumph Electronics are interesting. They're kind of quirky sometimes, but you'll hear little noises when you shut down after about a minute. Don't worry about it. It's just cycling through. Starting it up again. Once it's warm, you don't have to usually. You'll hear it cycle through. But once it's warm, it should start right back up. Here's the baffle I was telling you about. So this goes all the way in, this set screw comes out, fits in there, and that's the baffle. The bike does have a lot of pop. When you're downshifting without the baffle in it, you'll hear it makes some noise. Maintenance, again, since you have the center stand, everything's pretty straightforward. I mean, you can take off the rear tire, you can adjust the chain tension. Essentially, you loosen this lug nut. You have 2 adjusters on either side. It's a very straightforward system, pretty standard. The chain, I use kerosene to clean the chain. I'll clean it up here once before it goes. But essentially, kerosene is a really good cleaner for the chain and for the wheels. I use chain wax for the lube. I found that works very well. Like I said, the tires are only got probably about 1,500 miles on them at the most. You should have at least another complete riding season with these, depending on your riding style. All the brake fluids are here, up here. The oil level actually has a dipstick. It does not have a sight window. So again, you just basically pull it out, check the dipstick, and it should be within between these 2 hash marks here. Again, since it was just running, it's going to be a little high. I would change the oil before you ride. Next season, I change it once, sometimes even twice in a season, usually between 3,000 and 5,000 miles. AMSOIL 1040, the synthetic blend is what I use, which I think I sent you a picture of, but that is what Triumph recommends. I'm going to give you one more tool as well. It's a 22 millimeter hex head which goes into the front axle. So if you ever need to pull the front wheel off, this is a very handy little tool. I'm not quite sure of any other manufacturers that use a hex head, but it is a 22 millimeter. The most that has the adjustments both for height and for angle. You can adjust it to however you feel comfortable with, but again, it's a wonderful windshield. The rack mount for your iPhone or GPS. You can see that there are no dings, there are no scratches. The bike is basically, you know, and showroom shape. Everything is very clean. The one part which I also mentioned in the photos was just right down in here. There's a little stress crack just from this rear fender and a little abrasion right here. So those are the only things that I would say are flawed. We're just rebuilt this past spring. You should have no problems with leaking. Again, all the adjustments are on top here. I'll send you what the preload adjustments were that I've been using. But again, you have flexibility to change it however you want. That's all I really got. I wish you well, and I hope you get many, many miles of happy riding. It's a great bike. It's probably the best bike I've ever owned for comfort, for performance, for handling. Fantastic bike.